In this video, I'm going to walk you through a free SEO strategy for a brand new photography website so that you know exactly what you should be thinking about when you go to plan your photography website and that you can build it with SEO in mind and have an exact game plan of what you need to do to start showing up high on Google and get more dream couples and clients reaching out to you. So for this example, if you will, I'm going to be using a wedding photographer, but the same exact strategy applies for other photographers as well. So let's jump into it. Step one is to get a brand. I think a lot of SEO specialists don't talk about this as step one, and I think it's doing a big disservice to photographers and business owners that just try and do SEO without a strong brand. So you always want to start with branding, and here's just a couple examples to see of like what good branding looks like for your photography business. I recommend about your whole branding strategy. I have this free brand strategy workbook guide, which you can download by scanning the QR code to really help you map that out and get clear on that first before you try and do SEO. So this is so critical because you don't want to build your brand after you've created a website and started doing SEO, because then you're going to need to go back and change your entire website and update all of your SEO content and SEO pages. It just becomes a mess. So always start with a strong brand that is built and designed to attract your dream client. So here's just a couple examples that I put together for you to take a peek at. Again, download that brand strategy workbook. The next step is to plan out your website architecture. So this is so important to do this before you even build out your website, is to get clear on your site architecture. So of course, we're going to have the core pages, home, about, contact, portfolio, but then we want to have an individual service page for each service that we offer that is tied to our core location. So as you can see right here, I have wedding photographer, Washington, D.C., engagement, elopement, destination, proposal, courthouse. And this list can go on and on. If you do family portraits, if you do boudoir, page for each of your services. One mistake that I see a lot of photographers make is they try and tackle it all on one page. And it's fine if you want to have a service listing pages that just is kind of like a tasting menu where you list out each of your services, but each service still needs its own dedicated page. Then of course you're going to have a blog and optionally a client resource portal if you want to have certain resources specific for your clients. Now we want to plan out the blog, and this is something that I see wedding photographers get wrong all the time. We do not want to be creating generic content that can be applicable to anyone, anywhere getting married. We want to be very specific to our location, not only to drive in those type of clients, but also to position us as an authority and expert in that area. So I've created a blog category that corresponds to each service page, because these assets are going to support our service page. It's not enough to just create these service pages and cross your fingers that you do well. You really want to create supporting blog content. And I've kind of categorized them based on the service. So each of these posts are unique, and they also should have a call to action to the service page. Like if you're interested in a wedding photographer, make sure you check out, my sales page with more information. So, here are these categories. Here are some unique, high quality blog content. Of course, you can just swap out Washington, D.C. for wherever you're located. I'm right outside of Washington, D.C., so I picked Washington, D.C. After our blog content, I want to go back and talk about our portfolio. One of the biggest mistakes I see that wedding photographers in particular make is they create portfolio pieces like John and Alex engagement photos. Nobody is searching for John and Alex engagement photos. Instead, what they are searching for are very specific venues, times of years, and locations. So example, courthouse wedding in Washington, D.C., fall wedding at District Winery. The list goes on and on. Like, these are just some ideas that I brainstormed. Surprise proposal at the National Mall. Like, this is much more of a compelling topic than Susie and John National Mall photo shoot. Like, this is what is really going to transform your portfolio into something that is just there to actually bringing in the right type of people that are going to book you. So once you have this entire sitemap out, this is going to be our roadmap for the next phase of actually building out the website and creating our SEO content. And speaking of building out your website, for photographers and wedding photographers in particular, I 1000% recommend WordPress or Showit. I build most of my websites on WordPress because it is so powerful, so customizable. You completely own it. The options are just endless, and it's really good for larger websites. Showit, on the other hand, is still really, really great. I don't love it as much for really large websites, to be totally honest with you. But some of the amazing features of Show It is that it's drag and drop. It's built specifically for creatives like photographers, and it integrates with WordPress for blogging, which is a huge, huge bonus compared to other platforms like Wix and Squarespace. So go ahead, decide on WordPress or Show It. You can't go wrong with either one. And you want to start thinking about your web design, and this needs to be built out based on the branding that you built out in step one. So just here's some examples of modern professional wedding design photographer websites. And, it doesn't have to look exactly like this, but I just wanted to show you a couple of examples of wedding photographer websites that I build out to get the wheels spinning, go over to Pinterest, come up with inspo, and then build out your site. But don't wait until you have all of these pages to publish your website. Instead, start with just the very core essential pages: home, about, contact, maybe blog if you have a couple blog posts or portfolio items ready. Don't worry about the service pages yet. We want to get our website published as quickly as possible, assuming that it's professional, high quality, modern, mobile, responsive, and fast, like all of those things. We don't want to wait till we start creating all of this blog content, because it's going to take Google a while to start trusting our website. And later on in this video, I'm going to show you how you can make Google trust your website more quickly, but don't wait until you have everything absolutely perfect. Just get the foundations in place and publish your website: home, about, contact, etc. Publish your website, and then we're going to move on to creating SEO copy that is relating to your photography business. So I like to use a tool called Rankability to create content that is highly relevant to the core topic that I'm trying to rank for. Relevance is one of the most important ranking factors in Google, along with backlinks, which I will be talking about next. Rankability is an awesome tool because you tell it the keyword that you want to rank for, and then it will go out and figure out which keywords you need to include in your copy so that you are relevant enough to rank high on Google. Because let's say you're talking about the top places to visit in France and you don't mention the Eiffel Tower, Google's going to be like, WTF, this blog post is missing key information and it's not relevant enough to what people are searching for. So you don't want to skip this step, basically. It is important that your copy is highly relevant to the core topic that you're going after. And what you can do is you can give ChatGPT the related keywords that it needs to use, and you can give it information about your business, about your services, about your packages, to build out an incredible first draft that is highly relevant and optimized. So use ChatGPT as your first draft, and then go in and, review it, inject your own photos, etc. I really can't recommend this tool enough. Next thing that I want to go over with you is the Detailed SEO Extension, to make sure that some of just the foundational on-page SEO elements are in place. So I'm just using an example for a photographer in DC, but she's got this going on really, really well. So her title is Washington, DC Wedding Photographer. She mentions it in her description. Her heading structure includes Washington, DC Photographer. This is actually a no-no. You don't want to have an H2 above an H1. It should just be one H1, but regardless, she's still ranking really well. She mentions it more throughout her copy. Overall, just like really good stuff. Her structure is spot on. If you're not familiar with this extension, Detailed SEO Extension, you could Google it, watch this video. I'll tell you everything you need to know about it, and you can install it for free here. It's such a great way to write highly relevant copy. And then the next thing that you're going to want to do is submit the page that you publish in Google Search Console. So if you don't have Google Search Console, get that set up. It's super easy with the Sitekit plugin if you're on WordPress, or Show It makes it super easy as well. And I have a separate video on it that you can go and watch. But you definitely want to have Google Search Console. So this allows you to tell Google that your website exists. And so anytime you're publishing a new page, you basically want to plug in your URL and then request indexing. So this page is already indexed, so we're good. If I were to make a lot of updates, I would also just request indexing again. If it's just not on Google, it would have a big red X, so you would go and click to request indexing. Another important thing you can do once you actually have a couple pages of your website built out, you can come over to sitemaps and add your sitemaps. So let's just go back to that website. Okay, so if you append sitemap_index.html, this will take you to your sitemap, and then you would just copy everything after your main domain name and plug it in over here. This tells Google about the pages of your website. So this is just a one and done thing. Make sure all of your sitemaps are listed here. And then moving forward, you just plug in your URL and get them indexed. So do that after you're publishing new pieces of content. But of course, that initial setup should be done when you're launching your new website. So the next thing that I want to talk to you about is link building. Link building is so important for building trust with Google and ranking high in Google long term. And the biggest mistake I see photographers make is they don't get serious about this, and they spend all this time and money trying to just create really good content, and they skip the link building aspect. Big mistake. It is really going to hurt you long term. So not something that should be skipped over. And so just to provide a little context, a backlink or a link from another website is exactly that. It's a link from another website to yours. Google sees these links as votes of confidence in your website. So the more that you can get your website listed out across more areas of the internet, the better. And that should absolutely be the goal. So here are the top 5 listicle or link building opportunities to focus on as a photographer. First up, photography blogs. Here are some popular ones that you can go and try and write a guest blog post for, contribute to in one way or another, get quoted, etc. Such a powerful opportunity. Then directories such as local directories, Yelp, Angie's, Houzz, UpCity, oops, there's a typo, Chamber of Commerce, etc. And then industry specific, not Wedding Wire, Zola. The list goes on and on. You of course know these, just go get the link. Sometimes you have to pay for them. More often than not, they are worth paying for. Then the other thing you can do is look for sponsorships in your local area. So if I were to Google Washington, D.C. sponsorships, you can do this for whatever your local area is. You can become a sponsor in your local area. Usually you pay $50 to $100 to get a link from these websites. And these are such powerful links for you to get for your photography business. The next up would be local news. So most metropolitan areas have kind of like a dedicated online magazine for news, things to do, etc. Read these, try and get listed. For example, one that I got listed on as a web designer and SEO specialist is this post right here. Basically, I read it and I was like, wait a minute, I could get listed. I reached out to the author and she added me right away. So there's tons of opportunity, especially when they list the author so publicly. Like, it's so easy to just send an email and reach out. And then also try and work with adjacent businesses to get listed in their blog. So for example, you could reach out to a videographer and write a guest blog post for them, or create some sort of partnership and referral business system where, you're constantly referring businesses, but also make sure you mention these vendors on your website. That will be a very powerful link. Okay, and so coming back to the sitemap, you want even more blog post ideas, then make sure you scan this QR code to get my list of 67 blog post topics for photographers to help you come up with more topics that are proved to be successful for your SEO. So I hope you found this video helpful. If you have any questions, please comment below and I'll get back to you ASAP. If you like this video, please make sure you give it a thumbs up, and thank you so much for watching.